Welcome to the Principles of Success, interviewing the experts, book review, Hyperfocus. And Hyperfocus is an important book because it is all about attention. And if you can't harness your attention and be focused, then you can't get stuff done. And if you can't get stuff done, you can't be successful. So attention is really, really important. You have to be able to, when you select a task to accomplish, that you have to be able to actually accomplish it. Part of it is discipline, but as part of it is also being able to actually pay attention. Because it doesn't matter how disciplined you are, if you're spending all of your willpower on trying to pay attention, then without knowing how to actually pay attention, then you're fighting a very tough battle, and I prefer fighting easier battles over tougher battles. So that's why this book is important, and that's what we're going to cover today. So, your brain is always seeking enjoyment, threatening, or novel stimuli. Basically, what that means is your brain wants to enjoy things. It's looking for the fun things to get that dopamine hit from. Your brain is also always looking for something threatening, because if you miss something threatening, you're going to get killed and then you can't live anymore. And novel is basically unique, and it's kind of a combination of the two. It's the curiosity aspect of your brain. You're like, I wonder what's happening. And your phone is such a great distraction because it incorporates all of three of these. You'll find something that you enjoy on your phone. You might find something to annoy you and tick you off and give you a nice little cortisol spike. And it'll be different every single time you look at your phone, every time you look at social media, watch a video, whatever. Sorry if my voice is a little off today. So those are the three main attention robbers. Some stuff that triggers your brain to shift attention from what you're trying to work on to something else. So multitasking does not work. And the reason why it doesn't work is because your brain can only really focus on one thing at a time. And when you're trying to multitask, you're forcing your brain to rapidly hop between each task. So in order to have full attention and not drain your energy as quickly, you need to pick one project. And then you also need to eliminate your distraction. Don't have your phone anywhere near you. Stick it in a totally different room, because your phone will distract you and then you'll be distracted and you won't get anything done. And be aware that your attention will naturally drift. So every once in a while, check in and check with yourself to see if you're actually focusing on what you want to be focusing on right now, or if you're focusing on something else. A good way to do this is have a timer for like every 15 minutes. When you're first getting started, odds are 99 out of 100 times when you check in that 15 minutes, you're not focusing on what you meant to be focusing on. And anytime you realize that you're distracted, also be aware that there's generally a 1 minute jump off. What I mean by that is you'll realize you're distracted, you'll try to focus back on what you're working on, and then if you can get over that 1 minute hump, it's usually smoother sailing. But that first minute, your brain will try and distract you over and over and over again. You may have noticed this when you go to get back to work on something, and 2 seconds later you're opening a new tab on your internet to look at something, to look up something random real quick. And basically what your brain is trying to do is it's trying to keep doing what it wants to do, not what you want to do. So you have to be aware that your brain is not always your friend, especially when it comes to attention. Prolonged, boring attention. So checking in every once in a while helps. An additional thing that you can do that helps is meditating. Truthfully, I hate meditating, but then again, I hate almost everything that makes you successful. There's a quote I like, and it goes, "The unsuccessful and the successful have the same thing in common. They both hate doing what it takes to be successful." So I don't like meditating. I try to meditate quite regularly because meditating helps you train your brain to focus better. And it's can be as simple as you sitting there and counting to 1, 2, 1, 2 with each breath in and each breath out. So breathing in is 1, breathing out is 2. You can also do breathing in and out counting to 10 and just starting over every time you hit 10. There's many other meditating tactics out there. There's audios that you can listen to while you meditate, and there's really not an excuse for why you can't meditate, because you can do it not just sitting down. You can do it while you're walking, while you're doing stuff. It is purely just a breathing and focusing on your breath exercise. So if you're walking, if you're working, if you're doing something, you can still meditate. The only reason why typically you see people meditating when they first start out sitting down with their eyes closed is because you're eliminating the distractions, like we talked about earlier. The key to having prolonged attention is by eliminating all possible distractions as possible. I said possible twice, but that's fine. Your brain only has so much computing power. So when you multitask and when you have all these distractions, you're draining your energy levels and basically diluting your ability to focus. So it is key to train your brain to ignore all these distractions out, because if you're trying to resist the distractions, you're using willpower, and willpower is finite. You need to be able to train your brain to ignore it, not try and muscle your way through the projects you're working on. And I will freely admit, I am still very easily distracted. You just have to remember that your brain is constantly having to recalibrate. So the more you do to help it's on its way, the easier time you'll have to having prolonged attention on a project. And when you can have prolonged attention on a single project, you can get so much done. And then the last section that he talked about in hyperfocus is the complete opposite, and it is called scatter focus. And when you're wanting to generate ideas, come up with new things, scatter focus is fantastic. When it comes to put the rubber to the road, you need hyperfocus. But when it comes to generating the ideas, you need scatter focus. Because scatter focus, you're more creative. You're able to come up with ideas, put things together, and all of that. Some great examples of when you naturally already do scatter focus is when you let your mind wander in the shower, when you're laying down just before bed and you can't shut your brain off, going for a walk, when you're pacing back and forth because you're thinking something out in your head. Those are all examples of scatter focus. Letting your mind wander is also an important skill to do, so that way you can come up with the ideas. But then you need to learn to focus, to hone in, and work for prolonged periods of time. It is often recommended to work for 90 minutes and just check in every 15 minutes, half an hour, however long you want, and just make sure that you're still focusing on what you're wanting to do. And then jump back in. And then take a break every 90 minutes, because breaks are important to reset your mind, to give it some breathing room, but then focus back on what you're trying to focus on and get back to work. And with that, I will end it for today, and I will see you all next week.